Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman. And at each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. We're still in the NFL, so I want to kind of do that as long as possible.
Barely.
Barely. The NFL history is going to be the theme. And we've got a lot to talk about. Russell, you said you wanted to mention something. You want to do it in this segment?
No, I'll do it in the next segment.
Do it in the next segment? Okay.
If you'll indulge me.
Okay. A few things I wanted to cover. The Cleveland Indians wanting to change their name after many, many years. Let's see.
Sure.
Also, the NFL announcing that starting in Week 11, all teams will be operating under intensive protocol until the end of the season. We'll get into like what Roger Goodell was saying. We'll go over a few potential names for Cleveland, even going back 140 years, and sort of see if they bring some of those names back.
Spiders.
The Spiders.
Yeah, sounds like spiders.
That's right. In fact, I even saw a picture of what it might look like.
I think it'd be pretty cool.
Spiders, but
I think it's pretty cool. I think you go think of the Spider-Man tie-ins that they can have with it.
Well, that's true. Yeah, maybe that'll be the moniker, the logo, or like Thunder for the Warriors. All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, still providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding over 7.5%, secured by real estate, mostly California. It doesn't get any more conservative than that. You got to check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. And holy smokes, Monday night football game. Pretty exciting, huh?
That was something.
Now I wonder how many points.
That was a thriller.
Well, because they scored a safety at the very end, and I'm wondering if that,
Yeah.
5 point. I'm not sure if I'd have to kind of look at what the odds were.
Well, I'm sure somewhere in Vegas people were jumping off of rooftops.
Yeah, or maybe an over/under type thing, and it's like just barely,
Yeah.
Those are funny. All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't go away. We're going to be right back.
It's also ironic.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. All right, Russell, what were you going to start off with?
I did want to say on your comment is that it's ironic that the Browns were done in by a man named Brown. That it was the receiver named Brown.
Oh, the receiver,
He did in the Browns, but
there you go.
But I wanted to mention at the start of the show because I didn't mention it last show, and then we had another situation happen. And either I represent the wrestling side of sports entertainment, and either your many or non-existing wrestling fans would probably want me to mention. I was remiss to mention the passing of Pat Patterson last week and Tiny Naylor this week, the guy who has played Zeus in No Holds Barred, and he was a bit an actor, a big muscular actor guy that they were trying to sort of make the new Mr. T.
Oh, okay.
Pat
Patterson, I remember. Gosh, he must have been 80 something.
It's 79. He died at age 79, which for wrestlers is actually a pretty long-lived life, line. And he was the first wrestler that I remember watching as a kid and being a big fan of. And he was also, if I remember correctly, it was like he was one of the first guys I remember being a bad guy turning into a good guy because he had teamed up with Rocky Johnson. I mean, it'd been done before, but he did it. Most people say nobody did the good guy to bad guy to good guy to bad guy better than Pat Patterson. He was the guy that really set the standard for being a face, as we call him, and then being a heel by picking up a manager such as the Grand Wizard and becoming hated by so many people instantly, and then turning around and, doing the right thing at the right time, which made him back into a face again.
Hulk Hogan kind of took,
Sure, yeah. The kind of dramatic face heel turn was made so popular by him. I mean, it'd been done by people say, it's a part of drama for, the redemption of hero of the villain and the good guy turning bad, being corrupted by the evil dark side is as old as theater itself, right?
But it always seems like everybody always wants to see the bad guy turn to a good guy. they don't like there's something in human nature. I think when a good guy turns bad, you just kind of.
I don't know. There's a lot of anti-heroes and people who, Darth Vader's a popular guy, even though he's totally.
He was never a good. He was never he was really never a good guy turning bad. That you really paid attention to.
Well, you look at the Anakin stuff, and he was supposed to be a good guy, but didn't turn out that way. Anyway, and then Tiny Naylor was another, a fun actor. Vern, you know who I'm talking about at all?
I don't remember Tiny Naylor.
Okay.
Yeah. He's most famously.
Oh, you're cutting in and out of there, my friend.
The character from the movie Friday.
Oh, Friday. Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. Last night. Okay, so this.
With Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker. Okay. Well,
your connection. The movie Friday with Chris Tucker, and then when the 49ers picked up Deebo Samuel, wide receiver, they actually had him out to practice, so the two Deebos could have a photo op together.
Oh yeah. Well, what's interesting about the bad guy, good guy thing? Literally last night, and again, the show's being recorded Tuesday, right after the Ravens-Browns football game. It was kind of interesting how Garrett, who was the guy last year who took his helmet off and swung it at another player, and it was like, oh my gosh, how does a guy do that? But then this year, I guess he really cleaned up his act, and he's being nominated for the Walter Payton Award. I thought that was really interesting.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So a total like turnaround redemption.
He took off the helmet. Truth be known, when he took off the helmet and swung it last year, it was deemed at the time being very uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah.
He is one of the better defensive linemen in the league. But how about that? Yeah. Bad guy, good guy.
I always like to see that. That's pretty good. And now I wanted to mention one quick thing here. Okay, so what is with this Josh Jacobs of the Raiders and fantasy football? Something about Manson not playing?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Okay. That's an excellent point, because it killed my fantasy football team. And I went 7-7, and I just found out this morning that I didn't make the playoffs. I wound up in 5th place. So thank you very much, Josh Jacobs. Thank you for your cute little,
Josh,
I think I'm not going to play, but then I'm going to play. You know what? You killed my team. Yeah. If I see you in person, I'm going to let you know that you killed my fantasy team. And I had to go with Adrian Peterson, who was just worthless. He killed my team.
It's always entertaining on Sports Econ 101 when we talk about fantasy football.
Well, you're not going to hear about it anymore this year, because I'm done.
Because you
done. I'm out. I'm playing for 3rd or 4th place.
I mean, so you'll still be playing, right?
I'm disgusted. I'm done.
So now, Vern, you had your Saltless Nuts team. Are you still doing that? Your Saltless Nuts fantasy?
Yes, Saltless Nuts are still alive and kicking. I am in. Well, it's not really a fantasy football league. It's more of an NFL challenge league where you just simply pick the winners. And so the Saltless Nuts are doing very well there. I had another strong weekend where I had 10 winners. So Saltless Nuts are not playing traditional fantasy football, but in a straight pick 'em to win league, I'm doing pretty good.
Why aren't you on one of those 1-900 numbers where
give advice?
I mean, with 10 wins in the week.
Well, the thing is, though, there's no point spread, right? You just pick it straight across.
It's not against the spread. So
it's like
although Mr. Jackman, you gave me a good idea. I could throw out an 800 number. Call me now. I can give you the winner on a recorded message.
There you go. Well, there was I saw a little headline on Sports Center last night where they said the Rams have like a 98% chance to beat the Jets. And again, it's just straight across. So it's like one of those. Okay, well, if you're going to pick a team, okay, that was a little easier than most.
Well, yeah, but a lot of places have like office pools where you have just the straight pick'ems, and it's not as easy as you think. just to pick a winner or loser when it comes through, 16 games or,
especially if like the Jets are 0-12, the Rams are already going to make the playoffs, and they may not have Goff start.
Any given Sunday, we just had Washington, stop the streak of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Nobody predicted that was going to happen.
And then they lost again.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then who knows what, in last night's game, just what, that was the first game against the Browns and the Ravens. The Ravens absolutely killed the Browns.
Yeah.
And last night was just one of maybe the most amazing 4.5 minutes of football of the entire season. Of just two teams, no team wanted to lose. Each team wanted to, win that game so badly. You could just feel it, coming through the TV. And I didn't care really who won or lost, on that one.
And then Jackson coming out, it's like the second string quarterback gets hurt on like the first play, and boom, he comes back. Touchdown on a 4th down. I like that. All right, we are going to talk about NFL history here.
Speaking of NFL history, before you get going, that Monday Night Football game, that was a rare matchup of two previous Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks.
Oh, that's right. They said that was very rare. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. All right. The Tennessee Titans are one of the best teams in the NFL. Yeah, okay. Which NFL team was formerly known as the Titans?
Oh.
So they're in the NFL history, there was a team that was called the Titans at one point prior to, and I'll tell you, it was before.
I know that.
Okay, I'll tell you, it was. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. It was in the 1960s. You do know that answer. Okay, all right. That's our trivia question, and stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, Edward Brown here, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. First trivia question: the Tennessee Titans. What was another NFL team that was previously known as the Titans?
That'd be the New York Titans.
That's correct. Yeah, the New York Jets were the New York
along
Titans.
with the Giants.
Yeah, well, the New York Giants have always been around.
New York Titans, one of the AFL's first teams, and then they just financially were a complete mess. And then and then somehow money was found, and the New York Jets came alive, and you know the rest.
Aren't the Titans today related to the Houston Oilers franchise?
Yeah, there was the Houston Oilers. They changed to the Tennessee Oilers.
Yes, they were the Houston. Yeah.
And then with the Oilers thing, they go, this kind of doesn't fit because it's not, oil.
Right. So that's actually what I thought you were asking.
No, that's why I know. That's why I wanted to make sure it was really clear what team was called the Titans.
Gotcha. But
Can I ask it again? Do you think you can get the answer this time?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
What team was known as the Titans?
The Spiders.
There you go. Okay. One more thing about football here. Okay. So Roger Goodell is coming down hard on coronavirus protocols, potentially forfeiting games, and he wants to make sure no games are rescheduled anymore. Potentially loss of – let me just finish this, then you go ahead. Loss of draft choices. And when the Ravens game changed to Wednesday afternoon instead of Thanksgiving, ratings were down 50%.
Of course they were. How is this in week 16 going to make any freaking difference? How can you tell people you're going to forfeit games and say that you're standing up to the coronavirus when this is week, 15 next week? It's ridiculous. You can't, with the 3 weeks left in the season, he's standing up and taking action. No, I mean, come on. Goodell is the worst sports administrator in the history of sports. That I will go down as saying that of any commissioner of any sport anywhere, Goodell is the worst.
So what should he do? What should he do to make sure that
Quit, leave, go.
Okay. Get out. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying, what kind of protocols? What when you still see a bunch of COVID stuff going on and teams coming down with it, what should he do? What should he recommend?
They should have thought of a bubble situation, and I think maybe when they get into the playoffs, it should maybe turn into a bubble situation. But he's completely screwed that up. You can't figure that out in a week and a half. You know, he's let him say, he's let this
49ers went to Arizona. You know,
only because they were forced to. Only because they were.
No, I know, but you couldn't you have all teams play? And of course, the field would get all messed up.
Right. I wouldn't want to go to Arizona. So many people have been getting hurt on that field that's you know, that's not a good option. No, the NFL's had time, and more than any other sport, to think of what it would do with the COVID situation. They had the latest starting point of any sport to deal with this. And Goodell did nothing.
Yeah.
He sat around and just said, yeah, he's such a bad commissioner that he just let things go. You know, there was no attempt to do anything.
Okay, let's hear from the words of wisdom of Mr. Glenn.
Well, first of all, you have to ask yourself, who does Roger Goodell work for?
The owners.
Roger Goodell worked for the NFL owners. Most of those NFL owners, for the most part, have been in complete denial of COVID-19. They're older guys. They're like, well, what is this? This is just like the flu. They did not take it seriously. And then players started getting sick. And then in the court of public opinion, the NFL was starting to look bad for trying to play these games. So something had to be done to crack down to make sure, hey, we're playing these games, and if we're playing them, you better do this right or else. So Raiders get fined. The Raiders in danger of losing draft picks. It happens to other teams, and we're the part of the season where the league is starting to run out of weeks. I mean, the playoffs are around the corner, and so they're and not only they're running out of weeks, they're running out of bye weeks, which were great to use just for insurance in case games had to be actually moved and rescheduled. And so and the players' union gets upset because what, we're going to play Tuesday? Oh, we're going to play Wednesday? We didn't sign up for this. Yeah, so there's pushback for the players' union. So well, this year's a wash, Mr. Jackman. I don't care whether it's basketball, football, baseball. Forget the ratings. It's a wash. It's all about TV money. It's all about owners losing money, and it's all about the TV networks getting back for the product that they're going to put out to the public and the world. In the case of the NFL and the NBA and what have you.
But for Goodell to say that he's
part of the middle is Goodell. Anything he decides, he's going to hear something from the players' union, or he's going to hear something from the owners who sign his paycheck. He's caught in the middle, and it's funny you call him the worst commissioner. I mean, there wasn't too long ago, Gary Bettman was seemingly run out of town by the NHL. It was thought that he was the worst commissioner ever, and then Major League Baseball. Yeah, people say, well, this guy is the worst. And
then NBA.
I wasn't a big fan of Sea-League.
Who was just before the current commissioner?
Giamatti.
No, about the NBA.
Oh, the NBA.
Yeah.
Oh, Stern.
Adam Silver. Who was it just before him?
Stern.
Yeah, David Stern.
And
I liked
David him too much either.
I liked him. I liked him more than I liked Goodell. Goodell is just about theater. I mean, he's as significant a commissioner as when they used to have this guy who used to quote unquote be commissioner of the WWE, and everyone knew Vince McMahon was in control.
Yeah, but when you make over $40 million a year, I guess you can kind of be a little theatrical, huh?
Yeah, and so he's to pretend like the NFL is taking COVID seriously now, when we're at the end of the season, is a farce, and everybody knows it.
Well, I heard they were going to offer you the job, but you wanted $50 million a year, so they said, "Sorry, that's too much."
If I did do it, and I know this sounds Pollyanna, I would do something. I would do things that would make the fans happy. I wouldn't care about what the owners were saying. And I know that's why I wouldn't get the job. But
that wouldn't work, Mr. Jackman.
I understand, but that's why.
Whether it's Jerry Jones, his henchmen, what owner, they're going to go, hey, Mr. Jackman, come here.
Yeah.
You will do what we say. You do what we say, and if you don't like it, there's the door.
Now take that $40 million and go. Take the door and then go. You know, because if they fired him now, he'd still get his $40 million.
No, not well. I mean, they'll have enough lawyers to hold up your check until you die.
That's true. You know, it's so
That's
funny, but the
true,
audience
yeah.
doesn't know. Oh, Vern cut out there. What the audience doesn't know is Vern smacked his hand down and his phone kind of flipped up. That was good. I like that.
How's that?
We want theater.
Yeah,
We talked about theater,
theater.
everybody.
Okay. Hey, before we got a couple more minutes before the next break. Going on to the Cleveland Indians, it looks like they're going to keep their name throughout the next year, but then they're going to change. So what's next? The Braves, the Blackhawks,
and the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs. I mean, see, the thing is, I can completely understand Redskins. That's a real cut. The Indians, I mean, yeah, technically they're the Cleveland Native Americans, right? Rather than Indians. Okay, I kind of get that. So the thing is, I wouldn't think that they would change the Braves or the Chiefs because that's not, if I understand correctly, that's not an insult.
Yeah, and don't forget the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, that's the other one. Now, I mean, is that Blackhawk would be just a tribe or?
Yeah,
I guess, right?
But how many Native Americans do you know that play hockey?
I don't know too many Native Americans at all. So I can't answer that.
And so in some ways, why do you name sports after them if they're not represented at all in the sports that you're naming them after?
How many Lions do you know play football?
Good. That's the whole thing, is that Lions will not complain about it. They're not filing any sort of actions.
Yeah, but what about the Jets? How many Jets do you know play football? And then the Mets, the Metropolitans, right, for baseball, and then you got the Padres. Okay, how about all the Friars down in San Diego for the Mission?
As soon as they get together and say that although I wouldn't be surprised. First of all, the Padres could use a name change. I think that's an awful name anyway, and maybe an identity change would change their fortunes and allow them to, win a World Series once.
How about the San Diego Chickens? Remember?
Yes.
He was great.
See, now that's more fun. That's more fun than a Padre.
Hey, okay, so we're gonna cut to another break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about potential name changes for Cleveland. All right?
Good.
Here's our second trivia question. The Houston Texans were an expansion team in 2002. Agreed?
So this is all about Tennessee and Houston and Texans and Titans and all.
Which team formed in 1960 were originally known as the Dallas Texans?
You mean which team today used to be the Dallas Texans?
Just come right off this question. Which team formed in 1960 were originally known as the Dallas Texans? So I guess they moved to be this team. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman here. Trivia question number 2. The Houston Texans were an expansion team in 2002. Which team, formed in 1960, were originally known as the Dallas Texans? Mr. Glenn.
Well, the question should be, which current NFL team was originally known as the Dallas Texans?
Okay, I'll go with that.
Texans. So who then moved to Kansas City. Dallas Texans, where they were coached by Hank Stram, and then the Hunt family, which wanted to be a big fish in this professional football pond, said, you know what, we're going to go to Kansas City and we'll have our own town, so we don't have to share it with the Dallas Cowboys.
There you go. That's a nice full answer. I like that. And the Kansas City Chiefs, you are
now
correct.
You're coming in perfectly, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so knocking your phone around before actually.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you decided to behave.
I actually have I have a documentary that I encourage all football fans to watch, and it's called Full Color Football: The History of the AFL.
Oh,
There's
wow.
several. It was originally put out by Showtime, Now you can catch every episode on YouTube, but it tells you the complete backstory of the history of the AFL, how it was formed, how they wanted to rival the NFL, and how it led to the merger of the AFL and the NFL. But it's fascinating, the stories of the millionaires that wanted to form their own professional football league because the NFL club weren't going to let these guys in.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. And I bet Buck Buchanan's in there. Love that guy. Okay.
Buck Buchanan. Well, yeah, but later, it gives you like the whole thing, and there's testimony interviews with Bill Belichick, with a whole bunch of folks that that were fans of the AFL when they launched.
Well, it's really, I guess it's kind of, you can sort of say Joe Namath was the main guy to kind of make the big push.
Yeah, and when he signed with the New York Jets, NFL owners went crazy. They're like, $400,000. You signed him for $400,000?
Is that how much he got paid?
You're going to destroy our You're going to destroy the salary scale. Yeah, this is 1965.
Wow, that was a lot.
They gave him $400,000.
That must have been, well, that kind of reminds me when the USFL got Steve Young for some ridiculous, like $1 billion or something paid over.
Well, the $40 million, and it was an annuity.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's why Bobby Bonilla did his contract. And
oh yeah, he's still getting paid on
still
that.
Getting paid. Yeah, it was really smart. Okay, so looking at the Cleveland Indians to change their name. So here are some potential names to change. The Spiders, which again, that's where Cy Young played in the 1880s for them. Potentially the Buckeyes, which is from the Negro leagues, but they probably won't because Ohio State has the Buckeyes.
Meh.
The Wild Things after the film Major League with Charlie Sheen. Imagine it's the Cleveland Wild Things. The Rocks after where the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is, or located, or due to the Drew Carey show, right? You go Cleveland Rocks.
Right.
Can you imagine the interleague game between the Rocks and the Rockies?
Yeah, that would be. Yeah.
So yeah, you already have the Rockies. So I think that's a little bit too close.
And then someone brought up, how about the Lindors after Francisco Lindor? Because if you think about it, well, what was another name for Cleveland way back in like the early 1900s? The Naps after Napoleon LaJoie, or Lajoie, as our friend used to say. So, I mean, can you imagine they named the team after the best player?
Well, they're going to start on a boardroom. They're going to have these names up on the wall. They're going to figure out what's the most marketable name. How can we, how can we sell it? How can we sell them? It's all about the merchandise. What's it going to look like?
I guess they can't do the brown.
I won't give the adult suggestion that was posed, but I will say that some people said that the Cleveland Grovers.
Like Grover Cleveland Alexander?
Yes, yeah, like reversing the Grover Cleveland. You have the Cleveland Grovers.
Yeah, you could have the Cleveland Browns.
What would the logo look like? What would the
Grover Cleveland? You have a picture of Grover Cleveland. He's not going to sue.
Yeah. Or just say, how about Grover? It could be Grover from Sesame Street.
Sure.
So if you could remember how St. Louis used to have the Cardinals and the Cardinals, right? Football and baseball. I mean, you could do the Cleveland Browns. Probably not, because the merchandising, especially with a helmet of what would just be all orange?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, no one would protest it, but it's always considered one of the worst logos in football.
The lack of the logo.
Yeah, the lack of the logo.
Well, it saves money. They don't have to buy decals. Just like the Pittsburgh Steelers only have it on one because they get to save half the money. Right?
Yeah.
Because, every little bit helps. You got to count all your pennies.
But I'm betting on the Spiders. I think they're going to wind up being the Spiders.
I'm with the Spiders.
Really?
I still don't know what the Washington football team is going to be.
Yeah, what's that going to be?
That they haven't decided.
I'm kind of digging referring to them as the Washington football team.
Really? It could be the Senators, right? I mean, just like the old baseball team.
Or you know what? They could be like how you call the Stanford Cardinal. They could be just the Washington.
Nah,
I
no.
just leave it Washington football team till you really come up with something that really sings.
Well, yeah,
Wow.
until you come up with it, but it still seems like it's in no man's land. You know.
Well, they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to pay the guy that went out and bought all of the nicknames. He bought the rights to all of the possible nicknames that the Washington football team could use. The whole blank.com. He went and bought like 25 of them, and he's just holding on to them until the Washington football team can maybe come up with a price to pay this guy so they can take on the rights.
Yeah, but that 25, I mean, they could just come up with something.
Exactly. They'll come up with number 26.
Yeah,
what
do they come up with? The senators, the national. I mean, what? I'd like to sell 25.
You'd have to look it up. There's a story on it of who this guy is and how he was smart enough to go out and buy the rights to all of the logical names,
logical ones,
that the Washington football team.
I think like when people started coming up with .com names, I think like some guy came up, he started buying like IBM.com and some of the major normal ones that would happen, and then trying to change it to like something .net, just doesn't do it. I mean, you got to have a .com. Don't you think, Mr. Jackman? You're
no. I mean, there's people that Zoom.us, and look at how incredibly powerful the Zoom is. I mean, what's in a name? It's you can give if you can type the word .com, you can type the .net or .biz.
Yeah, but you don't. The normal is to do
.law.
.com.
I know people have .law addresses and .tv addresses, and
But is it true you can't have .org unless you're a nonprofit or a government agency?
Only .gov. .org
for
doesn't
that.
actually prove anything either, I don't think.
What, .org?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything specific that means that when you say you're .org. The only one that's reserved for the government are the .gov addresses.
Okay, so how about if I do .govt?
Well, are you a server designer? And can you implement yourself a server like that?
No, just wondering if that's
settle down, Mr.
Yeah,
Moneyboy.
I know it's like you get all these phishing scams, like .mason instead of Amazon,
Right.
And you got to figure around Christmas time,
people just make mistakes and click on the wrong thing. Deal with that all the time.
Let me jump in because I pulled up the story. Here's a guy. His name is Philip McCauley. He's 61 years old. He's a longtime Washington football fan. Let's just put it at that. So in 2016, he went out and trademarked the Washington Pigskins. Then he trademarked the Washington Monuments, the Washington Red Tails, the Washington Veterans, the Washington Red Wolves, and the Washington Warriors. So he's holding on to all those along with other possible names that the Washington football team could use and maybe should use because these names are indigenous to the District of Columbia.
And it doesn't cost much to trademark that stuff, does it?
It costs about a couple $100 to go through the patent, the trademark process.
But to reserve a .com or .net doesn't cost.
Well, not only do you have to reserve it, but you have to pay for the license, the registration fees, and keep the site up for the entire time. And I think that there is an anti-cyber squatting law out there that says that you have to actually put something on the site. You can't just have it just sitting there doing nothing. So you probably has to keep those sites active with some kind of content, or they'd be taken down due to cyber squatting laws. So, but considering he's done it since 2016, means that he was thinking ahead of time.
Yeah.
Boy, we really lost poor Vern there.
Yeah. He'll probably come back.
Phone went into a black hole.
I was thinking that if I was part of the Washington committee, I think I'd purposely choose something different. Just
there's a trillion names out there. They could be 25 names. You're telling me that there's only 25 possible names that you can come up with for, you know. As I said, you just make them the Washington. So, you know, I'm sure he doesn't have a trademark over that. Who would?
No, I like your Cleveland Grovers.
Yes. Well, my daughter's stuffed rabbit is named Grover. So
Grover, of course. Well, you could have the Washington Georges, right? The Washington Georges, the Washington Carvers, right? George Washington Carver.
Yes.
The Carvers. Yes. Yeah, you have a big meat cleaver. That's your emblem, the meat cleaver. All right. We've got about 45 seconds before our next trivia question. Oh, actually, you know what? This is a little bit longer one, so I'll start reading it now. In 1946, the AAFC was started as a new league. In 1950, when this league folded, which team from this league did the NFL not add to their league? You have choices: the 49ers, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Colts, or the Cleveland Browns.
Oh no, Vern left, and I actually have to answer it.
I've got some I have some battery issues. Anyway, go ahead.
That's what it is. Okay, so let me read this again. 1946, the AAFC was started as a new league. In 1950, when this league folded, which team from this league did the NFL not add to their league? The choices are the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Colts, or the Cleveland Browns.
So this is the All-American Football Conference.
All-American Football Conference. I believe that is correct. That's what the AA.
Which team did not? Did the
NFL not add to the
NFL?
Yeah. So obviously, all four of these are in the NFL now, right? But which? So you have choice: 49ers, Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Colts, or the Cleveland Browns. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments.
Yes.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today. I'm Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. So 1946, the All-American Football Conference was started as a new league. But in 1950, the league folded. Which team from this league did the NFL not add to their league? 49ers, Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Colts, or the Cleveland Browns?
I was going to go with the Bills.
That'd be the.
Okay. Yeah, you are correct. Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
Okay.
So
here's the deal. The Buffalo Bills, they were disbanded when the league folded. Another Buffalo Bills team was formed when the NFL started in 1960.
Did not know that.
Yeah, you got it right, but I'll bet
you mean with the AFL?
When the AFL started, 1960. Yeah. So they were disbanded when the league folded. And then just some time, I guess, when the FL started, they go, hey, let's form a Buffalo team. Let's call them the Bills. That makes sense. All right. We got about 10 seconds here.
What former NFL head coach is known as having the longest name in the history of at least the AFL? Might even be the NFL on the back of his jersey.
Schottenheimer?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, is that right?
Wow, right off the top of your head.
Wow. Not bad. You have to almost go all the way around. Well, thank you very much.
Marty Schottenheimer. Yeah, there's when he played for the Buffalo Bills, there's some video in that documentary that I had suggested.
Yeah.
Watch the full color football history. There's a little section where he's mentioned, and it shows the back of his uniform while playing Buffalo Bills.
All right, here's our thoughts for the day. They say don't try this at home, so I'm going to come over to your house and try it. Okay. All right. And I worked out almost every day. Friday, I almost worked out. Saturday, I almost worked out. Sunday, I almost worked out. Try that with your honey. You see how far that goes. Yeah. All right. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101, where we're going to discuss sports topics from a business perspective and ask more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
So long.